Welcome once again into the Selenium C# training. In the last session, we have discussed about string manipulation methods. Okay, so in this session, without wasting much time, we'll learn about the different access modifiers available in C#. Okay, so basically, there are, let me share the screen. So basically, these are the commonly used access modifier in which one is more over there, but like most of the time we would be dealing with that public, protected, internal and private, right? So these are the basic and most commonly used. Protected internal and some one more is there like protected private. So they are not that much required in terms of Selenium. So you should be aware like what is protected internal or not. But like most of the time we would be dealing with public, protected, internal and private. Okay, so the definition is also is there like what is public. It specifies that access is not restricted anywhere. Okay, so I also from Google, I also downloaded this sheet for you. This is enough to explain everything, right? So yeah, I'll explain you everything with example. Don't worry about that. Okay, for that, let me quickly create an package or folder. Let us say access modifier FIER. Yeah, let us say access modifier one, right? I hope my voice is clear and loud. Let me know if you're facing any difficulty in hearing me. Okay. So let's create in class. Let's create in class maybe car class or let us say student class. Right. So you see, the first interview question is that what is the default modifier of a class? So you see, internal is already over there. Right. So you just keep in mind what is internal. We'll discuss this, but this is the first point. Internal is the default access modifier of a class in C#. Right. So in this session, we will learn about the public, private, protected. Okay. And with the help of examples. So in C#, the access modifier specify the accessibility of types, just like classes and interfaces, and its members of the class, just like fields and method. How we can access them, what are the some restrictions over there, okay, how to put the restrictions, all these things we're gonna discuss. Okay, so for an example, we have this class and let us say student class. There is a student public, let us say string student name, right? And student, let us say a age or student number, whatever. So we have defined two types of like class variables. So over here, name, this name is what is this? This field can be accessed from anywhere because it's public in nature. Let's make it private. Okay. Now this number field can only be accessed within the student class only, right? So basically, there are four, like the main four, there are basically four basic type of access modifier that we are going to discuss. Then just like, let me create it. Okay. So we will discuss public. We will discuss private. We will discuss protected. We will discuss internal. Right, and the protected internal and all those things are not that much required for you on this level. Okay, although we can go through the definition and how that will work. Okay, so we'll discuss public, private, protected. So the question one we already have cleared. What is the default access modifier of a class? Then it's internal. Okay, now so in this class, for an example, in the student class, I have one student called, let us say, Tom, and create one method. This remember, this is a public class variable, or let me create one method. Let us say public void school name. Let us say and school. Print something over there. School or education board. Let us say CBSC. Right? So for now, I have in class called student, and student have two properties. One is the variable that is like name, and one method is over there related to the student. Right? Now let's create a man method. SVM. Okay. So if I need to access this, or run this, so can I directly access this method over here? Can I directly access this? No, an object reference is required, right? Because it's a non-static method. So if you inside the man method, if you want to use any like non-static method or non-static class variable, then you need to create an object of that class, right? So just create object of this class. It's easy. How to create object of this class? This class name student st is equal to new student, right? Now can we access student dot? As soon as I'll put dot over here, if I want to access the name, is it allowed? Yes, this is allowed, and we need to assign it or like store it. Console dot write line. Yep. This is allowed. And if I'll access, if I want to access student dot student board education board, so is this allowed? Yes. So what does it mean? According to this image, let's focus on the public that is written at that end. So we have public keyword, right? Public keyword is where is we can access is its containing class. So this particular student class contains and public properties, just like public variable and public method. So inside the same class, can we access these? Yes, we can access these. That means like this public have these public methods and properties can be accessed inside the same class. That is containing class, or we can say. Now let's look that can we access the public properties inside the derived class. What is the derived class? Like the inherited class, right? Okay, let me create one more class. Let's give a good qualified name. Just education programs are there. Degree, whatever you may take, some degree. So, or let me change it to PRZ program. Yeah. So now is this that this particular, let's create main method. Is the program class is derived class or not of the student? No, it's not in child or derived class. Derived class and child class is the same key. So how to make it derived class? If I'll put this double dot and use the class name. Now this particular class is inheriting. This particular class is inheriting properties. The program is inheriting properties of the student class, right? So can I create the object of program class or student class over here? Yes, I can do that. Let us say, just a second. I got a message. Yeah. So let's create the object of the derived class program. Let us say PZ is equal to new program, right? Now, can I access that? Let us say console dot right. I know. Let us say print PZ dot name. This is the student name Tom. Can I access that? Yes, this is allowed. Right? This is being allowed. We can access the public properties, public class variables and class methods are can be used inside the derived class as well. Just like if I'll use PZ dot, then all the options that are there inside that parent class, if they are public, then only it will be displayed. Just like education board. What was the method? Student education board. So you see, this is over here, student education board. We can only access inside the derived class if this student board or this name are public in nature. So our second statement is correct, right? Derived class, we can access inside the same containing class, inside the derived class and containing program. Just like if you are not the class is not derived. Let me create one more class. And let's give a name to this. Let us say profession. Okay, so student doesn't have to take anything from like profession. So we are not, this time profession is not derived class because we are not inheriting anything, right? So let's create van method over here. Right now, if I want to access the properties of the student class, right? If I need to access the properties of that this class, can I create object of the student class? Student is equal to this student and student dot name. Can I access this? Yes, this is being allowed. I need to store it or I need to print it. That's my headache, right? So yeah, if I'll write like student student education board, is this allowed? Yeah, this is also allowed. Means if the class is not derived or child class, even I can access the public properties of my student class by creating the object of this, right? So my third point is matching, containing the program within the same application or program or assembly, right? It means just like this is an assembly. This automation base 22. This is like called console. We have created console application, so this is called console assembly. I can create as many as assemblies over here, and we can check that like this is being allowed or not. Okay, let me create if is it allowed. Add new project. I'm just exploring this. Let's take console application for now. DL. Yeah, let's say console app 2. So yeah, comment it out. You see, just like I have two applications. One is automation based January 22. This is one assembly, right? And this is my another assembly. So I have two assemblies over here. Basically, we can say two DLL files or two applications. So if I am having something declared as in public, so this student class can be accessed inside the other assembly as well. And all the public properties, just like public variable and public method, would be accessed inside the different assembly also. This is all about the last point, anywhere outside the containing program, outside the application. So this is a different application, separate application. Let me try it out. If this works, then that it would be fine. So let me close all these, and inside the program, let me create one more class. Let's say test class. So it's also so public static void main. Yeah, let me create object of the student class. Now I need to import that. Where is my student class? Here it is. Yeah, student st is equal to new student. Then it's showing error because we need to import it. It's available inside that separate assembly. If I'll mouse over to this, is this any option is available? The type namespace student could not be found. Are you missing using directory to assembly reference? Yeah, so I don't know how to give the assembly reference, something like this, using what is our assembly name. Need to explore it. Let me try it in this way. Okay, I need to explore it. I'll tell you like how to access this. But yeah, in this also we can create object of the student class. This is the same error. This is saying that their namespace student could not be found. Are you missing using directive or an assembly reference? So in this class, I need to provide an assembly reference of the previous project. Okay, although these are rarely used when we will be working with Selenium, sometime it may be required, like we need to create separate project for, just like there are two applications. If you are working, there are lighter version of the application as well in one of the project that I have been assigned. So there was an heavier version, just like we have Facebook and Facebook Lite. So these are different, entire code is different for both of the applications. So in that cases, we may create two separate projects or assemblies in that kind of scenarios, but most of the time we would be dealing with single assembly. Okay, so I also have been working. There was an application on which I was working. So there was a lighter version of that particular application was available. So we achieved by creating different assemblies. So currently, like I'm not able to click how to add the reference. I'll explain you. Let me check it. But the thing to understand over here is that if my student class is accessible, the reference would be added, then I can access the name and student education board inside the separate assembly as well. This is all about the public keyword, right? Let me check assembly. Otherwise, we can talk it about. I can explain it later. So, how to check that? stack. Solution explorer. Solution, right click on the references, dependencies, add project reference, add shared project reference. This is how it's saying to add something. Where is the references? I think dependencies. We have project frameworks. These are already inbuilt frameworks. Add project references. Yep. So I added this project reference over here. Now can I access this? Is this available now? Project reference is already added. Right inside this we have added project reference .cs project. So now this should be allowed. Yeah, there is no such error. Then why it's not allowing us to create? No, we don't want to create a new file. We want to access the student from another class. That is our requirement. Generate nested class, no. Generate new, no. Okay, whatever. I'll figure it out, don't worry. So the concept related to that access modifier over here is that we can access if the properties, the variables and the methods are public in nature, then that can be accessed outside of that assembly as well. Got it? How to resolve that issue? I'll explain you. Let me figure it out. Without wasting time, we just need to finish this. Okay. Now, this was the public. Okay. Now, this is my parent assembly in which I am working. We have a folder. Inside this, we have a student class. Okay. And yeah, so this is all about the public. You got it? How we can access, from where we can access the public like public properties. So you see, public can be accessed from everywhere. It can be accessed inside the same class, from the derived class, from without, like the class. If the class is not derived, inside same other folder are there. You can access that public class and methods everywhere. Got it? This is also the definition of public. It specified that access is not restricted. That means without any restriction, you can access it from anywhere. So you got an idea about the public, Jassi and Ashwini? What is public? There are 4 layers from where we can. Got it?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's talk about another one, that is private. So inside the same class, let us say I have some private information of the student. Let us say public string. Sorry, we need to make it private. What can be the private thing related to the student? Any example? The fee, let's say fee, maybe they have given some discount to the student and they don't want to. Yeah. Oh, let's make it integer is equal to something like 10,000. Yeah. So we are just taking an example of variable only. Further, you can explore. The same thing would be applied on method. If the method is a public, then the same thing would be applied, whether it's a variable or a method. So let's take an example of the method. So inside the same class, can I access the fee of a student? Just like we are printing this, can I st dot fee? Can I access this? Yes, this is being allowed inside the same class. That is also the first keyword is private, and this is like this can be accessed inside the containing class. So this class contains the private variable, and yes, we can access this inside the same class. Now, can we access inside the drive class? No, everywhere it will not be get access. Like no, everything is no. Let's try it out. Where is the drive class? The program is the drive class. Okay, this is the drive class. Let us say pz.fee. Is it allowed? You see, there is no intelligence or reference available for this fee. That means we cannot access the private members of the class, whether it's variable or its method. We cannot access outside of this class, maybe in derived class, or right, we cannot access over here. Now let's move into the profession class. So this profession is also, this is not a derived class, but is basically it's a separate class. So can I access the private fee over here, student fee, student dot fee? So you see, this is not allowed over here as well. What does that mean? Here we have, just read out the definition of private at the end. It specifies that access is limited to the containing type, right? Inside the same class, you can access the private. Other than that, inside the child class or a derived class or outside the assembly, it would not be allowed to access it, right? Inside this diagram that I have captured for you, you can see the private is can be accessed inside the containing class, and everywhere else it's no. Got it? Yep. Okay. So, okay, comfortable in private. It's very easy, right? Just inside that, it would be applicable just inside that same class or containing class. Like other than that, if you write it like this, then there would be an compile time error, right? What type of error is this? It's compile time error, means at the compile lesson it's throwing the error, not at the runtime. So if you'll mouse over to this, then let's say if I'll storing this int f is equal to this. So what's this saying? Sorry, the pz.fee. If we'll write it like this, then there would be an error. It's saying inaccessible due to its protection level, right? It's protected basically. That's why we are using to achieve the encapsulation, or we can say to achieve this protection, we are using the access modifier. That is the main use. There are some properties that we don't want to disclose to the customers. Okay, there might be some, just like for an example, your password. So Aswini don't want to disclose her password to the entire team, or who end users, whatever, so that they would be assigned as an private variables or like private properties of the class. Got it? Otherwise, student.fee is inaccessible due to its protection level. Okay. Let's comment it out. Yeah. And so the next one is that inside the list is protected. Okay. So if you'll read out the definition, what is protected is, then it's clearly mentioned that it specifies that access is limited to the containing class or its derived class. Means when we declare a type as protected, it can only be accessed from the same class and its child class, right? Let's declare something protected. We have public, private, and declare something protected. Let us say protected keyword is there, right? Protected. Yeah, let us say int id. ID of the student is protected, right? So can we access this ID inside that containing class? This is the containing class. Containing class means same class. Fee dot ID. Is this allowed? Yes, this is being allowed over here. Yeah. And this also been allowed. This should also be allowed inside the derived class also. So which one is the derived class of student? Program is the derived class because this is inheriting the student class. So can I access, let us say integer id value, whatever. Can I access like pg dot id? Yes, this is being allowed. Or you can make it like student id. Right. So inside the program class, can I access the student ID? Yes, this is being allowed. So just look at this diagram. The protected is allowed inside the containing class and derived class. Can it be used inside the containing program, or just like we have one profession? So this is not derived class, right? This is a separate class, an individual class. So can I access the student ID over here? It should not be allowed. Let us say student dot student ID. So you see there is no intelligence available over here. You can access the student education board. You can access the student name, but there is no option for student ID. Got it? So this is how this protected will be used. This protected layer will be used only you see in the case of only containing class and derived class. And if you try to access is outside the assembly, just like inside this assembly, if you will try to access over here inside the console application, then you should not be allowed, right? So is there any question in public, private and protected? Is there any question, guys? Public, private and protected.
No.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so this is not being allowed. Okay. Now let's talk about the internal. So everything is cleared with its definition. You see, it's so easy to understand. It's saying that it specifies that its access is limited to the current assembly only. Inside the current assembly, it works like in public. You can use public anywhere, but inside, like outside the assembly or in separate assembly, you cannot access it. That is the only difference between public and internal. Public can be accessed everywhere inside the same assembly or in the different assembly, but the internal can be accessed everywhere inside the same assembly. And if the assembly is different, then you should not be able to access the internal. That's why you see the default access modifier for the class is internal, so that you can access. Okay. One more point. Let me make it public and try to access. Control dot. You see, just click into my mind like, yeah, so that's why it was not allowed. You see why it was not allowed, because we have mentioned the student class as an internal. This is our use case, so you have understood the internal now, I guess, right? If we'll make it internal, then this class cannot be accessed outside the assembly. If this is, got it? So only public classes can be accessed outside the assembly. We have separate assemblies, just like this automation batch January. This is in one assembly, this is in separate assembly. So initially we were not able to access this student.
मैत्रिणींची पेक्षा मी माझं काय झालं की आता मी भेटलो होतो की
Could you please be on mute, guys?
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. So okay, so we were looking into that internal. So internal definition is that Here is our student class. Here it is. So when we declare a type member as internal, it can be accessed only within the same assembly. An assembly, what is an assembly? Assembly is a collection of classes, interface, and etc. Right? So, okay, let's take an example of this. Let us say we have something internal. That's like we have, for an example, give me some good example. Let us say internal string student address is equal to, let us say, Delhi, India. Right. So can I access the student address inside the same or containing class? Let's check it out. Console.writeLine. Let us say st dot student address. Is this allowed? Yes, this is being allowed. Yes, because why it's allowed? Because it's internally in nature. If it would be protected, then it also allowed inside the same class. If it's private, then it's also allowed inside the same class, right? So inside this containing class, everyone is accessed. That doesn't depends upon that what type of the members you have, whether it's public or private. That should be allowed inside the containing class. And what about that derived class? Program is my derived class or child class. Let us say string address is equal to pg program dot student address. Can I access this? Yes, this is being allowed over here as well. String, right? So inside the derived also this is being allowed. And inside profession also, can I access the internal? Let us say string address is equal to student dot student address. This is being allowed. Right inside the same assembly, the internal works like an public. Can I access, just like in the separate assembly, can I access internal properties just like st dot? I can access name. Why the name can be accessed? It's public in nature. Right? So can I access the other properties? Just like let's talk about the internal. Can I access the student address? Can I access the student address? Where is that? Yeah. Can I access this? This is not being allowed. Right? So I can access the student education board also. Why? Because this is public in nature. Only public variables and methods can be accessed outside the assembly, not the private. You can see the diagram. You can see everything is no outside of that assembly. Everything is no except the public, right? So just look towards that internal. So internal is can be accessed inside the containing class, can be accessed inside the derived class or child class, can be accessed in some other class inside the same assembly, but it will not be allowed inside sorry, outside of the assembly. Got it? So that's why you see only public properties can be accessed in this console application. If I try to access anything like the private properties, other than that, the name and the student education board, this fee, private, protected and internal, these are not being allowed. And the issue that we were facing, that is due to this protection level only, because we have defined, just like if my this particular class is public, then yes, I can access it from that outside of the assembly. But let me define it again. The default class is internal, right? If my class is internal, then how this would be allowed to access it outside of the assembly? So that's why it's throwing an error like, hey, this is not being allowed. You see, if you mouse over to this, student is inaccessible due to its protection level, right? The same error that we are facing over here is that. So if I want to access, there is my requirement for an example. If I need to access some classes outside of the assembly, then I need to make those classes as I need to define those classes as in public with a public keyword. So I'll put the public keyword over here. As soon as I'll put the public, the error is gone away and I can access the public members only, the public methods as well as the public, I would say, variables, right? So you got it?
One more point, you have added the project reference in the which CS file?
Yeah. So you see, this is my separate project and this is my separate project. Inside the dependencies, if you will click on the add project reference, then the intelligence will show the list of all the available projects, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and there might be some shared projects as well. So like they are developers thing, so might be sometime they can give you reference as well, so you can like browse it from somewhere else if that is not available over here, right? So just click on right click, add project references. Okay. So yeah, so let's quickly revise. And the protected internal, that is not that much important, but like the protected internal is a combination of protected and internal. Got it?
But the
So
same thing, internal and it is matching with internal only. Even if it is protected internal, then how to declare it is protected internal as a keyword?
yeah, protected internal, just like protected internal. Let me explain this. Although you will be rare, like I would say you will never face this, but it would be declared like this: protected internal. The two keyword combination of two. Let us say string uh, student family details. Right? This is how it will be declared. Got it?
Okay.
So when we declare a member protected, it can be accessed from the same assembly and the derived class of the containing class from like any other assembly. You got it? Just like you can access this particular protected internal from the same assembly and the derived class of the containing class, just like if you are using this particular, although it's not about, you will be confused, but let me explain you this. Inside the console application, you have a separate class, right? If this test is the derived class of this test is derived class of the student, then it can be accessed over here as well. So yeah, I think the definition is given. That is enough. Protected, it is specified that access is limited to the current assembly or types derived from the containing class. Right, so it's a combination of protected and internal, but this is very rarely used. So you just be aware and confident about the what is public, what is protected, internal and private. Is there any question in these?
One thing, can the we can create methods in the same way and access the same, correct?
Yes, same
So
way, just like,
likewise, you have created the private method.
yeah, just like we created public, just change the reference, just like you can make it internal,
Okay.
like you can make it anything same way, just like you are defining the variables, you can make it public, private, or internal, whatever you want, right?
Yes.
You may try it, like it's maybe an assignment for you. Just like I have created the properties, these variables, just create the methods in the same way, some random methods, and try to access this from the containing class or from the derived class from any other class or from the different assembly, right? Is there any question, guys?
No question from my side.
Okay, so then it's okay. We are good. We are done with that part, and we'll look into some other topic going forward. I'm stopping the recording and